This video is going to teach you to calculate where the S&P 500 is going to finish this year. Welcome to your basics of fundamental analysis. You learn this, you can work out where the market should be at any time in any year. Yes, it's time to stop listening to all that rubbish that's out there on social media and learn how to calculate things for yourself using your own expectation and views of what is going on in the world at the moment. So how does it work? Well, on the left-hand side, we've got the PE ratio. Okay, that's a sign of confidence. Is the economy growing? Are earnings growing? If you're an economy where everybody can be confident and certain in their assumptions, then you can almost afford to give a 22 times earnings. However, if the world's a bit uncertain, or if Trump considers sacking Jerome Powell, for example, then we could get right down as low as 17 times earnings. But the average over the last 20 to 25 years is around about 19 times. So we'll take that as the baseline average for where the PE ratio should be. Next, you've got to work out what the earnings are going to be. Then to work out your S&P 500 target, you simply multiply one by the other. So this is the matrix of current estimates and where they were back in January in fantasy land before Trump's inauguration. So the expectation was for $280 of earnings per share. $280 expectations are gone, right? Forget about it. That's in the past. That was with tax cuts. That was with a booming economy. Now we're lucky if it's going to be 266. So what you do is you take the 266 current estimate for this year's EPS and you choose what multiple to put it on. Is it 19 times? Is it 21 times? Or is it back to bullish? Things cannot get any better than this, 22 times. Unlikely, right? So if you are thinking buy the dip, if you're thinking the market is going to go back up to 5,800, then you're really in a bit of dreamland. Got to get to understand what fundamental analysis is telling you. And that is saying the market's kind of capped around about 5,600 level. But realistically, if we're worried about things, then it should be trading back down to more like between 5,000 and 5,100. That's about 3% lower than where it is today. Next, we're going to look at what if Trump keeps on mucking around? What if these tariffs start to hit earnings and they're actually lower than the $266 current estimate? So this set of earnings projections is probably a little bit more realistic if Trump keeps on going and disrupting the world economy. A $252 earnings per share, that's a continued slowing of the world economy and tariffs affecting global growth. Okay, now if we put this on a 19 times average, that number's pretty scary. That's about 10% below where we're trading at the moment. However, if we started to see rate cuts, the market could become more confident about growth in the future, and therefore we could even get as high as a 21 times PE ratio. Now, 21 times $252 of EPS is exactly where the market is just now, give or take 1%. So that's what is getting priced in. Still 4% earnings growth on what we made last year. Last year, it was about $245 of EPS, 2024 earnings. Let's just take a little exercise if we were flat year on year. If things really got that bad and dropped from 12% earnings growth expectation in January to actually becoming flat, what happens when we put that on a 19 times or 21 times earnings? Well, the 19 times is pretty scary, isn't it? Maybe 20 times is more realistic. That's about 4,900. Or 21 times 5,145. But what's for sure, if you think that Trump keeps on going and pushing forward this agenda of tariffs and slowing global growth, then interest rates might come lower. But is it the right thing to do to buy the dip? Realistically, fundamental analysis is telling you the market is pretty much capped where it's trading at the moment. And the downside is as much as 10% from here. This is when you've got to get out of this thinking of all the social media crap that's out there of people telling you it's time in the market, it's not timing the market. That's fine when earnings are growing, when we're in a world where monetary policy is there to get your back, when we're in a world that you can be relatively certain about your earnings growth, that's fine. But be very careful on social media because it's full of people that have only ever known this world. They've only ever known global growth, earnings growth, and 21 or 22 times PE ratios. So forget this idea that markets always go up. Forget this idea of continuing to invest no matter what. It's time to stop that laziness. It's time to do some fundamental analysis for yourself. So let me know in the comments what your projections for earnings are going to be. Do you think we can get back to 280, maybe in 2026? But just remember, when you're 1 year out, you've got to take 2 points off the PE ratio because you could put money in the bank and earn 5% on that. So your cost of capital needs to be involved there. So if you think it's a 21 times earnings 2025, you've got to go down to 19 times earnings for 2026. So that would mean 5,320 is about the right level there.